But here's one thing I know. Donald Trump is Ronald Reagan plus in my mind. Venezuela, soon Cuba. The one thing you can't do as president, talk like Reagan and act like Obama. There's no deal to be done here. These people are not trustworthy. The protesters in the street are not protesting for a better nuclear deal. They're protesting for a better life. And if they win the day, we have a chance to have friends with the people of Iran. The Ayatollah will never be our friend. He's a religious Nazi. President Trump, you said help is on the way. That has to be real. It has to be real soon. Do it, Mr. President. The people of Iran are begging you to be on their side. You have done it so good. You're Reagan plus. This is the defining moment in your presidency. Stand by the people. The Ayatollah falls. The region changes. Bigger than the fall of the Berlin Wall.
This is my video update on this Monday afternoon, February the 2nd, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Project Ukraine. And we were supposed to have talks yesterday in Abu Dhabi between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States, though Witkoff and Kushner, they said they would not be attending the next round of talks, but an American delegation was going to be sent in their place. Anyway, those talks were canceled, and they have been rescheduled for the middle of this week. I believe February the 4th or the 5th. Are the dates that are now being discussed. The reason given for the cancellation was that there was scheduling problems, and those scheduling problems had to be sorted out. But the real reason that the talks on Sunday were canceled was because the Green Goblin is not happy with the way things are progressing between the United States and Russia. And it does look like the United States is trying to get Ukraine to commit to some sort of a withdrawal from Donetsk, from the Donbass, and Zelensky is refusing. So he decided to cancel the meeting on Sunday. That's the real reason why Sunday was canceled. But it looks like we're on for a middle of the week meeting between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States, where security issues are going to be discussed, and there is going to be some discussion on the territory issue, for which Ukraine and Zelensky refused to make the big concession. Of course, Russia has said that, specifically Lavrov, that it's much more than just about Ukraine leaving Donetsk. There's all kinds of other issues that need to be discussed and sorted out. So that's where we are with the diplomacy, if you want to call it that. Yesterday, February the 1st, the energy truce ended, and the New York Post is running with a story that claims Russia violated Trump's temporary winter truce. Not an energy truce, according to the New York Post. A winter truce. And Russia violated the winter truce that ended yesterday with overnight strikes, according to the New York Post. When did Trump ever say, when did Trump ever say winter truce? He never said winter truce. energy truce. New York Post is misinformed. I doubt that the New York Post would lie to us. Would the New York Post lie to us? Isn't the New York Post the second oldest paper in the United States? Would the New York Post lie to us, misinform us, put out a bunch of propaganda? I doubt it. Not the New York Post. Not the New York Post. No, 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 no. I just imagine the New York Post was misinformed. They mixed up the word winter with energy. They got the truce part right, but they just got mixed up with winter and energy. It happens. Anyway, that is the New York Post, and Zelensky gave an interview to Czech media from Czech Republic, and the Green Goblin hinted at staying on as president. He really wants to stay on as president of Ukraine, and he was asked about elections and martial law, and Zelensky said that there could be elections, depending on how the peace process, Podolyak. It depends how peace process goes, and if things move along with the peace process, then Zelensky said he might run for president. That's right, Zelensky as president of Ukraine for another 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years, or however long you stay in office, if everything goes well with the peace process. Zelensky's very upset, by the way. This is what they're reporting. Zelensky is very upset with the fact that Russia considers him to be illegitimate. He's very upset. I'm not illegitimate, I'm legitimate president. Right, Podolyak? Yes, you are, Mr. President. You're the most legitimate president in the world. Thank you, Podolyak. You're a very good friend. So the Epstein files, they claim a communication, some sort of messaging app communication between Epstein and, I believe, Larry Summers. I'm not 100% on that, but there were some messages being exchanged with the claim that Epstein was going to meet the Green Goblin. He was going to visit Zelensky this Thursday, is what he said. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Epstein actually took a meeting with the Green Goblin. It's just what he is saying in these messages that he's exchanging. But we do know that Epstein did reserve a hotel room in 2019 at the Hyatt in Kiev, and I believe the timestamp for these messages are from that time period, the 2019 time period. So maybe Epstein showed up in Kiev and decided to meet with the Green Goblin. Maybe not. This was the time period when Zelensky had just won the elections, and Epstein was allegedly planning a trip to Kiev. He booked the room. I'm not sure if he actually showed up in Kiev. But in this exchange of messages, they also talk about how Zelensky is very distraught, very unnerved at the fact that as the new incoming president, he believes that Putin believes that he's being run by Israel. That's what the messages are saying. That's what Epstein and I believe it is Larry Summers, but I forget who it was. I think it was Larry Summers. Anyway, the basic point of these messages were that they were saying, look, Epstein's going to be the president now, but he believes that Putin's not going to take him seriously because he thinks that Putin thinks he's being run by the Israelis. Anyway, that was the messages that were exchanged in the Epstein docs about the Green Goblin. So there was a message that Epstein, an email communication that Epstein had with Noam Chomsky. They actually messaged each other a lot. It appears, if you go off of all the messages that they share and the conversations that they had, that Noam Chomsky and Epstein were friends. I don't think it's a stretch to say that they definitely got along, and they talked about all kinds of stuff. Noam Chomsky and Epstein. But one of the email exchanges is from Chomsky to Jeffrey from 2015, June 29. And in this message from Chomsky, he says, according to economists who have been trying to investigate the details, about 90% of the payments to Greece actually go to the German and French banks who made risky investments and want to be paid off. So in effect, Greeks are paying the northern banks for debts that the people never incurred. These should, I think, be considered odious debts and radically restructured or canceled. Interested to hear about Barack. Wouldn't have expected it. That's the message from Noam Chomsky to Epstein, and then Epstein talks about the Greek crisis and the debt that Greece incurred. And according to these messages, the Greek people incurred the debt, the austerity measures, the hollowing out of Greece, because the globalists, they decided to bail out the German and the French banks. This is something that I have actually talked about many, many times, especially on many live streams on the Duran. This is no big revelation, to be quite honest, especially if you're Greek and you lived in Greece during those horrific times, for which Greece has never really recovered from everything that happened from 2009 and 2010 onwards with the Troika and all the austerity measures and all of that stuff. But basically, what happened was that the German banks, more so the German than the French, but these banks, they made some very risky, bad investments and loans in Greece, very, very bad, risky investments and loans in Greece, and they were going to go under. And then Merkel, my understanding of things is Merkel put pressure on the Greek government at the time to transfer the debt onto the Greek people, and that's what the government did. Very, very nasty stuff. That Merkel. Yeah, so the banks got bailed out, and all of the debts and all of the risky investments and the terrible business that the German and French banks were doing in Greece, their fault. They're the ones that decided to take the risks. They're the ones that made the bad loans. They're the ones that took the bad investments. But they got off the hook, and everything got put onto the Greek people. And this is basically what Noam Chomsky is confirming to Epstein, or at least that's what they're discussing. So that was an interesting message that hits close to home. But many people in Greece already knew this, and now many people that weren't living in Greece at the time that have seen this message are now understanding what happened to us in 2009 and 2010 and 2011 and onwards. The Greek people suffered so that the banks could be bailed out, the German banks and the French banks. So a lot of Epstein emails are being published. Everyone is going through all the Epstein documents, and all kinds of things are being published. Pretty shocking, horrific stuff that's on X and on Telegram that's being published. But you know what else is going on? And this is also very troubling. And I believe all of us knew this was coming. We all knew this was going to happen. You're getting all kinds of fakes that are being published as well. And so it's making things very difficult now to confirm what's real and what's fake. And of course these fakes are are being published on all the social media networks by the globalists, deep state, right? They're the ones that are flooding the networks with all kinds of fakes, and everything is just getting all muddied and messed up now. But a lot of information on all the Epstein stuff. And Pam Bondi and Kash Patel were telling us what? There's nothing. Bongino, Bondi, Patel. There's nothing to see. Ben Shapiro, there's nothing there. There's nothing to see. Yeah, right. Nothing to see. Okay. All right. There's too much to see. The Princess of Norway, she is apologizing because allegedly she met with Epstein over 1,000 times, and many of those meetings took place after everyone knew who Epstein was and what he was all about. And all of the charges came against Epstein, and he was under arrest, and all the dirt on Epstein was out there. And my understanding is that the Crown Princess of Norway still thought it would be a good idea to hang out with Epstein, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times. So she publicly apologized by saying, Jeffrey Epstein is responsible for his actions. I must take responsibility for not checking Epstein's background better and for not understanding quickly enough what kind of person he was. I showed poor judgment, and I regret ever having any contact with Epstein. It is simply embarrassing. Yeah, it's very embarrassing. This is true. This is very true. Elon Musk is going at it with Reid Hoffman because of Musk's email to Epstein, where he talks about the island and perhaps making a trip because he wants to party. But Musk never went. He didn't go to any of Epstein's residences or islands or anything like that. But there is that one email where he does talk about a possible visit to the island so that he can check things out. But he didn't go, so that has to be said. But Musk is making it out as if he had no contact with Epstein whatsoever. Not true. There was that message. There is that message that is out there now, and Musk is talking a lot about Reid Hoffman and his very, very public ties with Epstein. Now Reid Hoffman is hitting back at Musk, and they're just going at it on X. Musk is posting all kinds of stuff on X connected to Epstein. All kinds of stuff he's posting, and Reid Hoffman is getting pissed off. LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, he's getting pissed off at Musk, and they're in some sort of a big tech oligarch billionaire war. These two, though Musk is much richer than Reid Hoffman, but Reid Hoffman is not in need of money, that's for sure. Anyway, the UK establishment has been rocked by the Epstein document release, and we've already talked about Andrew, no longer a prince. He's now Andrew Mountain Ham, or Mountain Bomb, or Andrew Brokeback Mountain. I think it's Brokeback Mountain. Andrew Brokeback Mountain, something like that. That's his full name now, Andrew of Brokeback Mountain. And we have another person who's been caught up in all of the Epstein stuff, and that is Lord Mendelsohn, or Mendelbaum. Mendelbaum or Mendelsohn? No, Mendelbaum was the character in Seinfeld, the Mendelbaums. Mendelsohn, the Lord, he's a Lord. Peter Mendelsohn. He was at one point in time the UK ambassador to the US, right? For a very, very brief period. And he had to leave that post. I believe he had to leave that post because of a previous Epstein release. But this guy is very dialed into the British establishment elite. Very, very dialed in, this guy. And now it's coming to light that allegedly, maybe, there were certain payments that were being made, which included Mandelson and I believe his partner. So he had to resign from the Labour Party. British Lord resigns from Labour Party over Epstein leaks. Former envoy to the U.S. Peter Mandelson is seeking to avoid further embarrassment after documents suggested the late child offender sent him $75K. Yeah, so that's why the British are putting out these articles trying to connect Russia to Epstein. The Daily Mail and the Telegraph. The Telegraph. The Telegraph. They would never lie, the Telegraph, nor would the Daily Mail. They're putting out articles where they claim that Epstein was some sort of KGB spy. They actually use the word KGB in the title, that he was some sort of a spy who was working for Putin, and the Russian girls were provided to get dirt on politicians and elites and stuff like that. So they're putting that stuff out there. The UK political elite, they're putting that stuff out there because they're panicking. They are sweating at all of the information that is coming out from the Epstein documents, which implicate much of the British establishment. And so they're trying to do the usual, blame Russia, but it's not working because they've got nothing. They have got nothing. They're trying, but they've got nothing. And they're putting out articles. For example, the Daily Mail puts out an article with the title, Epstein's Sex Empire was KGB Honey Trap. And it actually says, the title actually says that the financier had multiple talks with Putin after conviction. of which there were no talks with Putin. The title right there is a complete lie. How do I know it is a complete lie? Well, it's a complete lie because the Daily Mail admits that it's a complete lie. 1 second. Let me pull it up here. Let me pull it up. In the first 2-3 paragraphs, the Daily Mail in this article actually says, and I quote, "There is no documentary evidence linking Putin and his spies directly to Epstein's illicit activities." That's a direct quote. They say this in the beginning of the article, and then they write a whole article talking about Russian girls, and because they're Russian girls, well, then obviously they have to be connected to the Kremlin. And then they talk about Epstein emailing some guy named, or some guy, Igor, emailing Epstein when he was in Florida. And this guy who emailed Epstein, unidentified, the Daily Mail says, an unidentified person emails Epstein, tells Epstein that I know you spoke with Igor, and he said that you're planning to go to Russia to meet with Putin on this date, so Igor can book a ticket and meet you there as well. And it says nothing. It doesn't reveal anything. We don't even know if Epstein even took that trip or not. But then there's another message that the Daily Mail uses to make their case, which is some Japanese entrepreneur emailing Epstein and telling Epstein that he heard that there's going to be some meeting in Moscow with Putin. This is in 2014, and Reid Hoffman was supposed to attend, but now he's not going to attend. And then the Daily Mail says that it is unclear whether the meeting took place. And then they say a subsequent email sent by this Japanese entrepreneur suggested it was canceled. So then the Daily Mail has to admit that this whole meeting that they were talking about was canceled. So anyway, they've got nothing. They have got nothing. It's sad. It's pathetic. But they're doing this to try to muddy the waters, because they're scared shitless that their elite is being named in these documents. Anyway, that's that. And let's now go to the Wall Street Journal, which is reporting that the Trump administration does not have all of their military assets in place to launch a devastating attack against Iran. and that at the moment, what the Trump administration could do, what the U.S. military could do, is they could launch limited strikes into Iran. But according to the Wall Street Journal, what Trump wants is he wants big, massive strikes. He obviously wants the massive strikes or something big, so that this could lead to some sort of a fall of the Iranian government and can lead to a regime change. The U.S. ambassador to NATO, what a prestigious title that is, U.S. ambassador to NATO, to the country of NATO. The U.S. ambassador to the country of NATO, Whitaker, told Fox News that Trump is trying to avoid a Libya scenario in Iran. So he doesn't want something like what happened under Obama with Libya, but they want a strong enough strike so that they get some sort of a collapse in the government, and they need more air defense and THAAD so that they can respond, they can defend against an Iranian retaliation. So they're not ready yet. This is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting, or at least not ready with what Trump wants to have happen in Iran or with Iran. But of course, this could be a fake out, right? The Trump administration could be leaking this stuff to the Wall Street Journal. They could be telling the Wall Street Journal, publish articles saying we're not ready in order to fake out everybody. So they've done this in the past. Trump likes to use these tactics, these trickery tactics before conflict. So this could all be misleading information, hoping that Iran will lower its defenses, and then they strike. But Iran's not doing that. Iran is not doing that. All the information that we're getting is that as the U.S. continues to build up, so is Iran. Iran is also building up in anticipation of a big U.S. attack. We are, though, getting diplomacy, and Trump told reporters yesterday that talks are going well, and we could be seeing some sort of a deal. Even Iran is putting out statements saying that the framework to potential talks and a potential deal is being put in place. This is coming from Iran. So that's the update with Iran. Vučić, the president of Serbia, he was giving an interview yesterday, and he said that there is going to be an attack against Iran in the next 48 hours. That was the statement that Vučić made. So should we do a clown world? Wrap this video up. Trump was speaking at some event with bankers and Wall Street, people like Jamie Dimon and all of these guys, and he made a couple of jokes. One of the jokes that he made was that he's speaking to a room of people that he hates, but he said he likes some of the people, but he also hates a lot of the people, and that was one of the jokes. Okay, and not bad. And then he joked about how he's not going to take Greenland, he's going to buy Greenland, and Greenland is going to be the 51st state, and Canada was going to be the 52nd state, and then he was going to make Venezuela the 53rd state. I hope I got the order right. I think the order was Greenland 51, Canada 52, and Venezuela 53. That order may be incorrect, but anyway, that was another one of his jokes. And he was saying it in a joking manner, that he's going to grow the United States by three states. So let's do a clown world. And we'll start with Pistorius, the defense minister of Germany, who is really pushing for Germany to continue to provide money and weapons to Project Ukraine. And he is getting very desperate. And you can see it in his speech, in his body language, how panicky and desperate Pistorius, the defense minister of Germany, is becoming, trying to get weapons to Ukraine. He claims that that now it is only Europe that is supporting Ukraine, which is a myth. It's wrong. That's a lie. The U.S. is supporting Ukraine just as much as they were supporting them a year ago. But Pistorius made a comment saying you can't fart happily with a sad ass. I'm not even sure what he's getting at with that comment. 1 second. I don't even know what he's getting at. He said you can't have happy farts with a sad ass, I believe is a better translation. No, here's a better translation. A happy fart never comes from a miserable ass, Pistorius declared, quoting 16th century German theologian Martin Luther, a key figure in the Protestant Reformation. The phrase suggests that one's mindset ultimately shapes outcomes. And then Pistorius said, that's why it's so important that we as the Federal Republic of Germany stand by Ukraine, even if it costs a lot of money. Yeah, even if it costs the destruction of Germany, we need to stand by Germany. We need to stand by Ukraine, because if we don't stand by Ukraine, then we're not going to have happy farts. Is that what Pistorius is saying? I don't know. It's a very bizarre phrase there. Anyway, that's Pistorius. Not much of a clown world. How about Kaya Kallas to save the clown world segment? She once again, in some sort of an interview or her speech or talking to the media, stunning and brave, once again said that Russia has invaded, in the last 100 years, Russia has invaded 19 countries that have not attacked Russia, and some of these countries Russia has attacked 3 times, blah, blah, blah. She's learned that line very well. She's got that script down pat. And then, here's the clown world to it. And then she said that what needs to happen is that we, as the EU, we need to seek concessions on the Russian side on limitation of their military budget, their army, or nuclear weapons.
What we see right now is that, there has been a lot of push on Ukrainians to make very difficult concessions, which they are willing to do because they really want this war to stop. Now, this is blurring the picture from where the problem actually lies. If you think, last 100 years, Russia has attacked at least 19 countries, some as many as 3 or 4 times. None of those countries has ever attacked Russia. So the question is how we make sure that this war does not continue or go anywhere else. So we need to see concessions on the Russian side, on limitations on their military budget, on their army, all these things, or nuclear weapons.
Yep. So Kallas is saying that there can be no agreement, no peace with Ukraine, with Europe, until the EU, until the EU, the collective West, forces Russia into concessions. They need to limit their military power, their military budget, their nuclear weapons. Okay, stunning and brave. Oh boy, she's funny. She does have a good sense of humor. That's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on Telegram. Go to Duran Shop, pick up some merch, 25% off, 26% off all merch on the Duran Shop. And don't forget to like this video, to share this video, and subscribe to this channel. I like it a lot. I like that Kaya Kallas. Stunning and brave. I like her. All right. It's a Monday. What can we do? That's the video. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Take care.